At 84, Nick Nolte still carries the same wild, untamed energy that made him one of Hollywood's most unforgettable anti-heroes, a man whose performances were never polished, only lived, and in a recent interview he stunned listeners by refusing to talk about awards, legacy, or aging, choosing instead to confront what he called the sin we all carry, naming the actors who betrayed him, mocked him, or humiliated him in ways he never forgot, not minor figures but Hollywood legends whose names still make rooms go quiet. At the top of that list sat Tom Cruise, a feud that didn't begin with a fight but with a look back in 1991 at a Paramount event where Cruise, surrounded by handlers and flawless smiles, nodded politely at Nolte, who muttered, "That kid's been polished so hard he squeaks," a line meant seriously, not as a joke, and years later when Nolte was approached for a Cruise-led action film, he reportedly shut it down with a single sentence. "I don't act next to logos," a message that reached Cruise within hours and froze every interaction thereafter, culminating in a 2017 Beverly Hills gala where Nolte stood up and walked out the moment Cruise entered, leaving behind a silence one producer later described not as disrespect but as a warning. Julia Roberts followed, a co-star who turned collaboration into open warfare during the filming of I Love Trouble when a whispered "I can't work like this" detonated Nolte's temper and turned the set into a battlefield, their clashing styles, her controlled charm versus his raw unpredictability, escalating until a scene nearly shut production down, forcing directors to shoot them separately, with no apology, no reconciliation, and bitterness that hardened into legend. Then came Eddie Murphy, the prodigy whose confidence collided head-on with Nolte's demand for discipline during 48 Hours, where improvisation turned into provocation, laughter into silence, and a diner scene argument, "Are you done showing off?" met with "Are you done being old?" ignited a rivalry that followed them through every take, every pause, and every night shoot, ending with Nolte admitting Murphy's genius while confessing he dreaded his own set. Robert De Niro represented something different, not personality but philosophy, a devotion to method acting that Nolte viewed as ego disguised as art, their tension peaking when Nolte openly accused De Niro of performing the process, a critique that cut so deeply it ensured they would never work together again, their avoidance at industry events becoming as deliberate as it was silent. Sean Penn was the clash Nolte never wanted, a mirror of his own buried intensity, erupting into near violence during a 2004 fundraiser when politics turned personal and moral certainty collided with lived chaos, leaving behind a cold hostility rooted in opposing beliefs about fame, responsibility, and truth. In the end, these names, these scars, revealed a darker Hollywood beneath the glamour, a world where talent collides with ego and grudges calcify instead of fading, leaving one final question hanging in the air. Was Nick Nolte right to carry that anger for so long, or did it cost him more than it protected?